You look at the Denver Nuggets and say, whoa, just a week ago, they were that minus 115 or so price. Now we're looking at them at a 7-1 price. Any chances the Nuggets can actually come back?
I think this is going 6 or 7 games, so I think that could be a little bit of a tighter spread between those two. But when you got those two guys, those two monsters, and Towns and Edwards, it's just really hard.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Every missed call, the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The Early Line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Night.
Night.
Has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on the Early Line on SportsGrid and all across that SportsGrid network. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. Plenty to get to here in our second hour. The 2024 WNBA season starts tonight. Caitlin Clark makes her WNBA debut for the Fever in Connecticut against the Sun on national television. We have 4 games, a quadruple header, and we'll preview the entirety of what you need to know for a new WNBA season this summer later here in this second hour. It is also another major championship week in the world of golf. The PGA Championship returns to Valhalla, where Rory McIlroy won a PGA Championship back in 2014. Scottie Scheffler confirmed has welcomed in his first child, Bennett Scheffler, along with his wife, Meredith. He is ready to go this week outside of Louisville, Kentucky. And some big NFL news to start this second hour. That's a sample of everything sports here, Donnie Rightside.
Yeah, based on social media right now, we'll probably the entire schedule leaked out by the end of the day today, as opposed to even waiting for tomorrow to see where those all-important games are. We got some good ones already out, which gets you so excited for week number 1 in the NFL, which we got to wait a couple months for, but it already feels like football season is getting closer and closer. But as Ben pointed out, a lot of big things starting up tonight, which includes the WNBA, and also I am looking forward to the PGA. We love major championships when it's all on the line, the biggest, deepest fields out here. We're going to see if we can make some dollars on that. Give me some good odds boosts out there, by the way, FanDuel. Let's do it. Come on.
Schedule news in the National Football League, TV news and dates of games as well, and some contract deals yesterday in Detroit. The Lions extend Jared Goff a 4-year, $212 million deal with $170 million guarantee. That's $53 million per year. It makes him the second highest paid quarterback in the National Football League at this moment, only behind Joe Burrow. A big deal in Detroit, keeping Jared Goff in-house for many years to come.
Spent a lot of money in this offseason, and good for them. They have some good things going here, and it looks like if you're going to keep your offensive coordinator Ben Johnson in town, give him the quarterback that he likes and keep your quarterbacks happy. And it's apparent here that the locker room really loves Jared Goff. Did you watch the NFL draft when the players came up on stage? Jared Goff came out last, and everybody was cheering, Goff, 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 Goff. I mean, that's the way you do it here. Make the guy feel wanted, and also keep in mind this. You know who owns the Detroit Lions? It's the Ford family. Yes, the car dealer Ford family here. As long as you have that front-end money to spend on signing bonus, you can spread that cap all the way out. Take care of your players. Keep them happy. We're expecting big things from the Lions. And quite frankly, Jared Goff deserved this. If you're an above-average starting quarterback in the NFL like Jared Goff, you are going to get paid a lot of money. It's just the day and age that we live in now, Ben.
It's a really good point. The numbers might look crazy, especially depending on where you think Jared Goff falls in the National Football League. I would consider him, maybe as crazy as this sounds, a top 10 quarterback currently in the National Football League. He is ranked in the top 10 in passing yards each of the past 2 NFL seasons. It has been a reason the Lions have been on the rise in the NFC around the National Football League. Last year, second most passing yards in the NFL, 4,575, leading the Lions to their first divisional crown in the National Football League in 3 decades, their first playoff win in 32 years, their first NFC Championship game appearance in 32 seasons as well. Also the 6th most 2 years ago with more than 4,400 in 2022. I believe Jared Goff is deserving of this number, and because of where the quarterback market is going. Second highest paid quarterback at this moment, only behind Joe Burrow, and you see those other names, but with a ton of quarterbacks due for a pay raise this summer, with the likes of Dak Prescott or maybe even a Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if Jared Goff will enter 2024 by the time we kick on that Thursday night in Kansas City, even as the second highest paid QB, knowing the inflation rates of the quarterback salaries.
Exactly, and that's just what happens, and you have to get used to that here. We saw it a lot, a couple years ago, when the NBA got that influx of a big money contract for television. You were seeing like bench guys getting $50 and $60 million, going like, what happened here? And now you're eventually going to see guys making $75 and $80 million a year in the NBA. Same thing with the NFL. As the sport stays popular here, every single time you re-up all these contracts, that's why we talk about, hey, Peacock's going to get a game. Netflix is going to get a game. You see all of these things. That's all hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars into the coffers of the NFL, which does get spread out to the players. So it's not a surprise anymore. And again, the theory behind paying your quarterbacks and your top-rated players, pay them earlier. The longer you wait, it only costs you money. If you have a top-flight wide receiver, pay him here. Don't wait, because you know what's going to happen next? Justin Jefferson will get his, and then Jamar Chase, once he get his, sign them first. Save millions of dollars on your bottom line here.
For sure.
Jared Goff's just the latest there. Waited it out. Good move by the agent. There you go.
Donnie, it's why we saw a record-setting deal for Antoine Winfield Jr. for the Buccaneers, who has been an outstanding safety for Tampa in his young NFL career. But he made a 4-year, $84.1 million contract extension yesterday with $48 million guaranteed, the most ever in the NFL for a player at the safety spot. Crazy. He is now the highest-paid defensive back in the National Football League. But you see that often, regardless of position. This offensive lineman, that tight end, highest paid ever. It's because of where the contract salaries are going, with how much money in total the National Football League continues to rake in. Jared Goff, 8 years now in the National Football League, the previous 3 in Detroit. It's not often, Donnie, you can look back on a trade and consider it a huge success for both sides. But that was the Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff deal between the Rams and the Lions now over 3 years ago. With Stafford, the Rams won a Super Bowl. With Jared Goff, very promising things happening in the Motor City. And it's now not, hey, congrats, guys, you won your first playoff game in more than 3 decades. With the odds for 2024, the Lions expected to be in the NFC title game once again. Second best price to win the NFC Championship, only behind the 49ers.
And by the way, also, the misconceptions here of, oh, look at that, Jared Goff with that contract. Both of these organizations technically won. But let's also keep in mind, you take a look at that Stafford deal. Goff was basically just a throw-in placeholder at that point. But also, this isn't a feel-good story about Jared Goff, a guy who was undrafted making a lot of money. Do we forget he was the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft? He was supposed to be above-average quarterback. So good on him for finding a home in Detroit and also using him correctly here, apparently, where you couldn't do that out in Los Angeles in that McVay offense. But good career so far. Let's just see if he can take Detroit to the next level. We'll find out next.
So some big schedule news around the National Football League as well coming our way on this Tuesday morning. Tomorrow, The full schedules for all 32 NFL organizations will be unveiled, but in the coming hours and in the next 24 of them, we're going to start to get those schedule releases and some schedule leaks. Week 2, the Chiefs back at home, hosting another AFC title contender in the Cincinnati Bengals. 2 straight AFC North opponents inside Arrowhead for the Chiefs to start the year. Debut night of the season on that Thursday against the Ravens. Week number 2 on that Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals, excuse me.
Yeah, tough start. Would have been even tougher if both of those games were on the road, but Super Bowl champions always get that first game at home, and it's going to be a tough contest against Baltimore. 2 teams coming in. It's Thursday Night Football, but not a true Thursday Night Football game, but then you get the benefit the following week if you play on that Thursday night because you get that mini-bye to break down extra film, and you get Cincinnati at home. That's a big advantage in game number 2, just in case like last year where KC lost in game number 1. Maybe this year if they get that split, that second game, like, okay, we get an extra couple days to prepare for the Cincinnati Bengals.
For a second consecutive year, Donnie right side, Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets will open up their season on a Monday night. Week number 1 is his right Achilles shivering in fear on this Tuesday morning here in the middle of May. It will be the Jets visiting Santa Clara and the San Francisco 49ers on that opening Monday of the season.
You better get that offensive line correct because that's a hellacious pass rush that's going to be coming after him. He might be having nightmares once again, week number 1.
Tom Brady will call his first football game for Fox between the Browns and the Cowboys that opening Sunday of the season as well. PGA Championship conversation next.
Missed call the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors. But Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. Mm-hmm. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
The second major championship of this 2024 PGA Tour season is this week at Valhalla Country Club in Louisville, Kentucky. And from the site, that's where Keith Stewart joins us on this Tuesday to take an early look at the PGA Championship this week. Keith, we appreciate the time. Thank you for being here on the early line.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am fired up this week, and everybody else should be too. We have Rory coming in after 2 wins. Brooks won his last tournament there on Live, and Scotty's only won 4 of his last 5 in the green jacket. I mean, what kind of storylines do you need coming into the second major championship of the year? The vibe out here is electric. Everybody is ready to go.
Keith, you are live on the site there in Louisville, so we start with Scotty Scheffler and the big storyline. Can you confirm, has Scotty Scheffler and his wife Meredith had their first child? Will he be baby distraction-free entering the PGA Championship this week?
Ben, I can confirm, yes, he has had the baby, and mom and son are healthy. And in true Scotty form, the baby happened last week, and he didn't let anybody know until he got here on property. He did not confirm it until he spoke to Todd Lewis of the Golf Channel. So a little bit of gamesmanship, I think, is going on right there by the world's #1, keeping everybody in the dark, whether or not he might show up or might not show up. So to me, I love it. But absolutely, the baby has been born, and you know what? It's time to start playing some golf.
Star golfers and also a star golf course this weekend. Take a look at Valhalla in Louisville, Kentucky. About 7,600 yards. It looks like this is going to play a par 71. 2 things here. How does this course set up this weekend? And also, any weather concerns to worry about this week, Keith?
Well, guys, I was originally set up outside, and that's just not happening this morning because we are getting poured on. They're talking about rain all week, and in the month of May alone, we've had 2.4 inches of rain in this region. So it's going to be a soft golf course, which takes us all the way back to 2014. If you remember when Rory won here 10 years ago, it was an extremely soft golf course. And you mentioned that 7,600 yards, Donnie, right? The first time they played here, well, the second time, let's go back to Tiger in 2000. This golf course is now 450 yards longer and has 1 less par. It was a par 72 when Tiger won. It's now a par 71, 7,600 yards. So my 3 keys that you got to focus on when you're building out your betting card, number 1, it's just length. It's length all day. Whether you're hitting your irons, your driver, or whatever you're doing, the golf course is going to be soft. It's going to rain more this week. You have got to be able to pound it off the tee and hit your long irons high and accurately. Number 2, speaking of accuracy, 5,000 square foot greens. So this is the 3rd longest course on tour this year for the PGA. It's also that has the 3rd smallest greens. So think about that. You're coming in from long range, 2/3 of the approach shots, over 175 yards. And these greens are super small. So accuracy matters with your approach game. And the 3rd thing, and I think a lot of people are overlooking this, but when I'm building out my betting card, this is definitely a putter week. We cannot go with team no putt. We got to have guys that can roll the rock. And here's why. If you go back to 2014, 7 of the top 10 finished in the top 12 in strokes gained putting. That means that if you can get the ball in the hole here this week, first of all, if you can get it on the green, but if you can get it in the hole after that, then you're in good shape to contend and be part of the conversation, not just on Tuesday, but more importantly on Sunday.
So, Keith, when you look at the odds, there are 2 golfers that are really separate from the rest of the field, nearly half the rest of every other golfer this week at Valhalla. Of course, that is Scotty Scheffler, the short favorite at 4-1. But Rory McIlroy, not all that far behind at plus 750. He won last week at Quail Hollow in Charlotte at the Wells Fargo Championship. And Valhalla is a special place for Rory. It was the site of his last major championship victory now a decade ago, the 2014 PGA Championship, edging out Phil Mickelson virtually in the dark. It's one of the storylines each and every major championship, whether it's the PGA at Valhalla or any other venue. Will the decade-long major title streak finally come to a close for Rory McIlroy? Keith, what do you say about his outlook this week in Louisville?
Well, Ben, I love that build-up there. And I'll give you even a little bit more. The last time he won here 10 years ago, he won twice before he came in. Well, he just won twice out on tour coming into this week at Valhalla. I mean, all signs point. When I was in Charlotte last week for Quail Hollow, you know, the planets were aligned for Rory to get his 4th win there. And that was the perfect preview for this place. And then he gets it done, and he wins by a bunch of shots over Xander Schauffele, distances himself on Sunday. So at the end of the day, I mean, at plus 750, Rory is really live this week. He is. And I just wonder, after all the years of thinking about it and all the internal pressure and the anxiety that he feels, I just wonder if Rory can get back over the hump. It's been a long time. 10 years, that's a lot of leaderboard gravity. I'm not sure if he can do it. I mean, now at plus 450, Scotty Scheffler, the favorite, the baby is no longer a concern. I think the only way to play Scotty is to come up with some creative parlay because he is definitely, without a doubt, the guy to beat this week. Can Rory do it? I'm not quite sure if he's the man.
Rory and Scotty were hoping to make more than just an appearance this week as they want to win this championship. Tiger Woods absolutely will make an appearance here in the PGA. Talk about him this week and the expectations that we're setting for him, Keith.
Donnie, I think right now it's just the same as it was at Augusta. You know, one of the things about this Valhalla golf course is that it's very hilly. We're out here in the Kentucky hills. So just like Augusta, I believe he makes the cut. I don't think that there's a big sweat there. But as it comes to 3-4 days, until Tiger proves that he can get across the finish line, not looking weakened by Sunday afternoon, then the best I can do is bet him to make or miss the cut. The placements in a field that's this elite with this many golf professionals in it, I just don't know at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. His odds to make the cut or even miss it for the Big Cat this week in Louisville, not listed on the FanDuel Sportsbook as of this moment, trying to crunch the numbers. Keith Stewart, we appreciate your time on this Tuesday morning live from Valhalla, the site of the second major championship this year in the world of golf. You can hear from Keith throughout the rest of this week across the SportsGrid network for some more of those early leans. Keith, thank you so much for your time on this Tuesday. Enjoy the week out there in Louisville.
Oh, boys, you know what? This is a big ballpark. We're going to need a Louisville slugger come Sunday.
We appreciate that, Keith. Thank you very much. The NBA Draft Combine began yesterday. We'll talk about it next.
Missed call the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors. But Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on this Tuesday on SportsGrid. Yesterday on a Monday began the 2024 NBA Draft Combine in Chicago. The 2024 NBA Draft comes your way in just over a month. Wednesday, June 26th, is the night of the opening round, night number 2. Round number 2 is that next Thursday, in a lot of conversation, DRS, leading up to the NBA draft with a weaker overall draft class, has focused on the son of LeBron James, Bronny James, who we got the report yesterday from FanDuel TV's Shams Charania that Bronny James would elect to remain in the 2024 NBA draft and has been medically cleared to enter the NBA as well. Yesterday at the NBA Draft Combine, he measured in without shoes at 6'1.5 inches, which is rather interesting as he was listed on USC's roster in his freshman year at Southern Cal at 6'4". But outside of that distinction, a very positive day for Bronny James yesterday. Fourth highest max vert of everybody in the combine class. Also started off his three-point shooting drill, making the first 12 threes in a row. There is already a ton of conversation around Bronny James's draft prospects, as you might expect.
Yeah, by the way, I mean, who knows? I don't even know who's actually all at this combine, if it's every player or just not the top players, because typically they're not going to play in this. But Bronny James getting in at 6'1", that's terrible, man. That had to send shockwaves around the community as opposed to, you try to eyeball him to see what he is. 6'1", I mean, you can get bullied by every guard in the league. That was a tough scene because we're led to believe that he's going to be able to play good defense. Against who at 6'1" at this point? Everybody's out there going to be able to post him up and take advantage of it. He's still going to get drafted. Why? Number one, he's LeBron James' son. Number two, this draft absolutely stinks. So I don't really care what he did shooting threes without anybody on him. I go back to last year at USC. What did he do shooting threes? Couldn't make them. Apparently he's a good passer, which right now I could be a good passer in college basketball because it's not that hard to do. So I don't know if that was a good sign or not, but I saw that 6'1.5" when I put that up thinking, that's not what I thought here. His dad, what, 6'8", 6'9"? Come on. Left a little bit out there, LeBron. Stop it, man. Give the guy some height.
Not like the strong genes that Donnie Rightside possesses. Bronny James, as we said, after his medical event, cardiac arrest last summer in summer workouts at USC, did miss a lot of time, started to find his groove later in the year for the Trojans, who had a very disappointing season under Andy Enfield with a lot of talent around Bronny James on that USC roster. He averaged less than 5 points per game, just a little bit over 2 rebounds and 2 assists per game, 36% from the floor. His college numbers are not great. But again, I have said this point. He is LeBron James's son. Whether you agree or not, it is a factor into his draft evaluation. And again, college numbers are not the be-all, end-all for the NBA. The best players that you see on a year-in, year-out basis in college hoops are not often all that highly regarded when it comes to the NBA. If you win the Wooden Player of the Year award, like a Luka Garza, he was drafted in the second round. I think Zach Edey will be a first-round pick. By the way, he grew 7'3" of an inch at last year's combine, 7'3" of an inch yesterday at his measurements. It does not guarantee that you are a lottery selection. So Bronny James's college numbers really are not the be-all, end-all. He will be drafted. However, I do crack up at this report from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski that NBA teams are interested because of the financial impact that Bronny James can make at the G League level. Quote, he will pack G League arenas, merchandising. No, all of those make him an attractive player. You're right, he won't, and that can't be the deciding factor, at least in my estimation.
Do we check the spelling on that Woj account? And if it was actually verified at this point?
It was.
He will not, nobody cares about him as a player here. We care if he's playing with his father. Then that's what's going to get the ratings. And also, I see that odds board there with the Lakers plus 185 price here to draft Bronny James. Everybody else should be off the board because he's not getting drafted by anybody but the Lakers here. Because if one GM's like, watch this, I'll be the Cavaliers and draft him and LeBron will come back. All he has to do is say, I'm not going there, so you're going to waste that pick. And secondarily, on Bronny James, people getting upset about him getting drafted, outside of the lottery, you won't remember 99.9% of those names 3 years down the road. So who cares if he gets drafted late in the first round? It's not the NFL in the second round you're going to get a starter. The second round is basically training camp fodder to be sent down to the G League. So he's going to get drafted, people. It makes sense.
For sure. He could be a solid role player at a point in his NBA career. That number on the Lakers, by the way, is shorter as of this Tuesday morning, like Bronny James's measurements at the NBA Draft Combine, plus 1 55. LeBron did opt out of his contract, but they are going to move heaven and earth to re-sign him this offseason. A WNBA season starts today. A preview next.
Missed call the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors. But Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2, certainly in full effect, right on the early line, Sirius XM Channel 159, SportsGrid Network. It's Donnie, it's Ben. It's time to talk some basketball. Yeah, you know we got you covered here in the playoffs, but another league is starting up tonight. That is the WNBA. And you know what I like about this best, Ben? We're seeing photos and we're seeing videos of chartered flights here with people stretching out on planes, which means better basketball should be playing. Because let's break it down to start with here, Ben, before we actually get to the numbers. This is a pretty big deal. Anybody that's flown commercial, which is just about every single one of us here watching and not flown private here, the ability to not go through the airport, to lounge, to have top flight service, to recuperate, to fly between city to city, this is a big deal as opposed to getting a delayed flight while you're on a commercial flight at this point here. I think we get a better quality of play this year, Ben, in the WNBA.
It's a huge deal, Donnie, and I really think it's a metaphor for this league in the W at this moment. In total, there's an investment from the league office side, chartered flights for the first time in the history of the WNBA, but it also shows this growing product as a whole. A lot of that is Caitlin Clark excitement, but a lot of that is just the beauty of the basketball in the WNBA that has seen a continued rise, TV ratings, audience numbers over the last few years. And with the basketball as a whole, last year was defined as the start of a new super team era in the WNBA. The New York Liberty after the acquisition of Keith Stewart, and of course the Las Vegas Aces, the first back-to-back WNBA champion since the LA Sparks did so in 2001 and 2002. So this WNBA season here in 2024, the Aces begin their second consecutive WNBA title defense, looking to pull off the three-peat and are the favored team to do so. We'll run through these odds as we go team by team to highlight a few in just a moment, Donnie. But really, when you think about the WNBA, in this moment, with all of the attention on the NCAA tournament these past few years in women's college basketball, and those stars now taking the leap to this next level. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Mule, so many others in that list as well. Cameron Brink, who of course leaves Stanford and was the second overall pick now by the LA Sparks. Rakia Jackson, so many stars to name. This is the most highly anticipated WNBA season in history, and it starts tonight. It's a moment of celebration. And we heard of the WNBA draft. A moment for women's basketball now tries to carry that momentum into a new WNBA season. I cannot wait for this summer in the W.
Yeah, we'll take a look at Caitlin Clark's statistics and how she pertains to her own team. But let's just talk about her league-wide at this point, which I think you had a perfect segue to. We're talking about, private jets now and charter jets. There's a big reason with Caitlin Clark coming in because, as you know, as you run a business, man, it's projections down the line. The influx of TV viewers, which leads to more people watching, more people buying tickets, and more money for the league itself. We also were hearing during these NCAA championship runs the past 2 years, once she gets to WNBA, I don't know what she's going to do. And some animosity, I should say, coming from some of the other players. But if you're sitting on that private jet flying to another city and you're still hating on Caitlin Clark, you're doing something wrong because more eyeballs in the league, which means better product on the court, more money in your pocket, and better accommodations across the board. Something to keep an eye out on here. And she hasn't even played a regular season game. So let's get to some of the teams here, Ben, in the WNBA. 12 teams split between two conferences here. It's no surprise that we take a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook and say, where are the odds coming in on teams to win the WNBA championship? It's the Aces at a plus 100 price, followed by the Liberty at a plus 230 price. And then we hit that shelf there with the Storm, the Sun, and the Fever behind them. Are we looking at these two teams that should be on a collision course for a WNBA championship once again this summer?
Yes, it was the matchup that was promised a season ago. It was the matchup that we got delivered. The Aces did win their second consecutive WNBA title, led by Becky Hammond in a 4-game series, 3-1. Of course, best of 5 decides the WNBA championship. And all year long, Donnie, much like we have entering this 2024 season, it was that two-team race according to the odds. Las Vegas, the favorites. New York, not all that far behind, but a clear separation between the Aces and the Liberty and everybody else. The Storm have the third best price this year at 10-1. Seattle, a couple of huge offseason acquisitions, and the return of the WNBA's leading scorer last year, Jewel Lloyd. They get Nneka Ogwumike and Skylar Diggins-Smith this offseason, as well as Nika Mule in the WNBA draft, an outstanding defender and guard from Connecticut. Seattle now third best price. The Connecticut Sun has one of the best players you will find in the WNBA, in Alyssa Thomas, a triple-double machine. She already leads the WNBA in terms of career triple-doubles with what she put up a season ago at 12-1. In the Indiana Fever, let's remember, drafted number 1 overall, of course, the acquisition of Caitlin Clark in those sweepstakes. But the year prior, DRS, also the number 1 overall pick, getting Aaliyah Boston from South Carolina. What a guard-big combo you have now in Indianapolis. But the reason the Fever drafted first overall again last season, they were 14 games below 500, 13-27. So the expectation now with Clark and Boston should rightfully be sky high in Indiana, but will it be matched? That's the different story. 13-27 for a team that had the lowest win total entering last year's 2023 WNBA campaign. And just quickly here, maybe some fans out there of the early line of the SportsGrid network now starting to become fans of the WNBA. Only a 12-team league. Donnie is right, separated into 2 conferences. But the way you reach the playoffs, the top 8 make it, just in terms of 8 out of the 12. And last year, Donnie, 4 teams had a winning record, which meant that 4 teams reached the postseason with a losing record, 2 games below 500 or worse. So factor that into your win totals and into your make playoff prices. Not everybody needs to be 5 games above 500 to see the WNBA postseason, but it can be why it's so skewed and why you see the Aces and the Liberty well in front of everybody else in the W.
Yeah, a league of haves and the have-nots. So let's talk about some of the haves here, and that would be the tier of two, the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty. Win totals here for the Aces expected this year, 32.5. You take a look for the Liberty, that's 29.5. And the people that don't know, two dominant basketball teams last year in the WNBA. First, I want to ask you this, Ben. Any changes to either one of these teams coming into the season that we should know about, re-signings, or is it pretty much par for the course where they're bringing back the same group that they had last year?
The big one in Vegas, of course, is the retirement of the WNBA legend in Candace Parker, who was part of the acquisition last offseason, the WNBA title winners. Of course, Candace Parker, who won 3 WNBA titles with 3 different organizations, the only in W history to do that. Wasn't necessarily the superstar that we had seen, but they do, of course, return A'ja Wilson, who won the WNBA MVP award 2 years ago and many thought got gypped by Breanna Stewart this past year in her first year in New York. The Liberty returns Stewie, Sabrina Ionescu. They have a couple of great players as well. Courtney Vandersloot orchestrating the offense, and the veteran big in Jonquel Jones. So a lot of familiar faces for both the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty. The only two teams a season ago, DRS, that won 30-plus games last year, both favored to win at least 30 in 2023. The third best record was the Connecticut Sun, 27-13, and led by Alyssa Thomas, were really that team to be neck and neck with New York and Las Vegas all season long.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to come in to see how these teams play right off of the bat. And also keep in mind, like, you see those team win totals, like, ooh, they sound low. Well, the season doesn't go as long as the NBA season, which you're going to play like an 82-game slate. So it's really a sprint, and also you can compare it a little bit to the NFL. You can't go on 2 to 3 game losing streaks here in a shorter season here. That's going to hurt. But also, as Ben pointed out, when you take a look at the WNBA season as a whole, 12 teams in it, 8 make the playoffs. So you probably have to be pretty bad to miss the playoffs altogether. And teams that are drafting number 1, like the Fever, hopefully they will improve. Now, next segment, we're going to start to take a look here at Caitlin Clark, but also those MVP odds and where she shows up. Because keep in mind, when you look at the FanDuel Sportsbook, it's a sports book here. Those numbers adjusting based on how much money is flooding the market on who should actually win that. The WNBA taking center stage right on the early line. More talk coming up next.
Missed call the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called, or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report, and people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors, but Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
MVP talk of the WNBA. That's what's on deck right now. It's Ben Stevens, Donnie Rightside here on a glorious morning talking on the SportsGrid Network, SiriusXM channel 159. Let's take a look at those odds here on the board because usually rookies don't enter into the MVP odds all that much, particularly to start a season. Maybe they filter in like a C.J. Stroud who played fantastic football last year for the Houston Texans, but now we're seeing Wilson plus 100, Stewart plus 800, Clark plus 950, third in line here right now at the FanDuel Sportsbook to win a possible MVP with those odds. Let's talk about, we might as well start with Caitlin Clark. The chances that she wins the actual MVP, and also, are we pricing it appropriately, or are we putting just too much on her shoulders right now to be third in line right now in odds?
I think it's a little bit too lofty of an expectation. Third best number, one of three players in the WNBA, along with the last two MVPs in this league, to have less than a four-digit price. Caitlin Clark is going to have some success to start off her WNBA career. There is no doubt about that. We saw flashes early in her W preseason games for Indiana. Ben, it's preseason. I understand. She is capable of this moment. She is going to prove why she is one of the greats of this generation in women's college basketball, one of the greatest to ever do it, and now into the professional ranks as well. Donnie highlighted that many of the old guard, the vets, were a little bit skeptical that she would come into the WNBA and take over things right away. There are going to be some growing pains as you get to this next elite level, but Caitlin Clark is going to have rapid success in the WNBA. Enough to win the MVP award in a rookie campaign in Indianapolis? I remain a little bit skeptical. I would also say, Donnie, when you look at those odds, I mentioned the narrative, and this is a narrative award. Stewie, in her first year with the New York Liberty, was sensational, but many thought A'ja Wilson, leading the Las Vegas Aces to the number one seed in the WNBA, a 19-1 home record. As Donnie knows, it's very difficult to walk into the Michelob Ultra Arena on the Strip and walk out with a victory, that A'ja Wilson was more than deserving of the WNBA MVP award. And now she's the even money favorite, $7 in front of Breanna Stewart entering this season. It's a little bit like Jokic being the preseason NBA MVP favorite. Many people thought he should have won his third straight, but the narrative kept him from doing that. I think A'ja Wilson is the rightful favorite entering this year's MVP conversation. Again, I believe in Caitlin Clark. She is going to win the WNBA Rookie of the Year award and is a minus 700 favorite to do just that. But to expect her in her first year in the W to win the most valuable player hardware, that's a little bit too lofty.
Yes, and by the way, we were out at the Super Bowl representing the SportsGrid Network, and just walking by that arena, you got shivers down your spine. Like, man, you look through those doors over there, you ain't walking out with a victory, pal. Absolutely not. We'll see if that holds true once again this year. But if we are taking a look at some of the players in that MVP market down the opposite end, that is Ionescu at 25-1, Plum at 40-1, and you see Brittany Griner at 50-1. I don't know if that affected the news that came out, I believe, yesterday. I believe she has a broken foot or a broken digit on her feet, which that's going to put you out for a couple weeks. Yeah, who knows what's going to actually happen with that one, but just some interesting ones to keep track of. But also, we are talking about Caitlin Clark and some of those season specials that will be a lot of fun to bet here. 22-plus points per game. That's a minus 160 price. That's a crazy average for a rookie coming in that people said might struggle here. One or more three-point shots in all games, a plus 100. How about 3+ triple doubles at a plus 190 price, which doesn't sound like a lot because we know she's going to get the assist. We know she's going to get the points. But stepping up into the WNBA, the professional ranks, and grabbing 10 rebounds as a guard, that could be tough to do. Any one of these price points or markets, Ben, catching your attention here?
Yeah, so I think one of the best markets that our producer Joe Frieso bet when it was plus 290 but opened at plus 340 is to make a 3 in every game this year. It's now even money, plus 100. Caitlin Clark is the best shooter we have ever seen in women's college basketball, arguably the best shooter we have ever seen in D1 college basketball history, setting the record for the most made threes in a career and the most made three-pointers in a single season. Is she the female Steph Curry? Well, Steph had a three-point shooting streak of making at least one in a game for more than multiple seasons, so not the craziest bet, although the expectation is incredibly high. Well, look at her props for her WNBA debut tonight for the Fever on the road in Connecticut. To average 22 points per game, and her points prop for her debut tonight in the opener is 20.5. Again, all of these expectations are sky high because of the attention, and yet we set those similar expectations for Caitlin Clark during her time at Iowa, and she often exceeded, if not at bare minimum matched, what those lofty expectations were. I think it's also interesting, Donnie, when you pay that forward for what she is expected to do individually to lead her team, the Indiana Fever. Again, 13-27 last season. They have drafted number 1 overall the past 2 years and are now favored at a minus 310 number to make the playoffs with a win total that is up by 7, potentially 8 wins because of where the juice is on that win total from last year's win-loss record. Again, it's not just for Caitlin, it's the Caitlin Fever for the Fever overall. She'll have a great complement, Analia Boston, and a talented roster elsewhere in Indiana, but that's a lot of expectation right from the jump in her WNBA career.
No, it certainly is. And you take a look at Iowa. If you ask her about all her individual accolades, what did you enjoy the best about college? Was probably making back-to-back runs here at a national championship, which brings into effect this year. Yeah, she would love to win the MVP award or the Rookie of the Year, which we'll get to in just a few moments. But you know she's going to want to improve on what happened last year with Indiana. Their team win total on this season, Ben, 20.5. To make the playoffs, again, pretty easy to make the playoffs, but this is a bad basketball team, heavily favored at a minus 310 price and a title at 23-1. If we look at those 3 options here, does one of those catch your eye?
I think when you look at the 20.5, that would be the best bet because the juice is so heavy for the postseason, but they are very correlated. If they get to 20, maybe even 21 wins, as we mentioned, they're more than likely, at least based on last year's sample size, 4 teams with a winning record, 4 teams with a losing record in the top 8 to make the WNBA playoffs. That would be where I look.
Fever Sun odds, Rookie of the Year odds coming up. Look at this. It's a WNBA extravaganza. It's Ben and Donnie, the basketball kings of the SportsGrid Network. We cover it all. We do. We'll be right back after this short break.
Missed call the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors, but Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. Mm-hmm. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's get down to business here in the WNBA. We got games tonight. We got seasons to take a look at. And also, we talked about who is going to be the MVP. How about Rookie of the Year odds? Now, we talked about Caitlin Clark, third in line in the MVP race. A monster favorite here to take down Rookie of the Year in the WNBA at a minus 700 price. Brink at a 9-1 price. Jackson 31-1. Angel Reese at 35-1. Are we looking at the clear-cut winner right off the break? Because it has the same vibes as Victor Wembanyama. Like, as long as you stay healthy, you are supposed to win this. But not even Victor Wembanyama had a minus 700 price on this one.
Correct. His price was something like minus 175 entering a new NBA season. Again, these are narrative-based awards. You can quantify them based on the metrics and the betting public, but ultimately it is a story. It is a narrative voted on by media members who like to make up narratives and stories. If Caitlin Clark plays the entirety of this WNBA season and reaches the levels of success that we have ironed out for her, she is going to win this award. It is why she is such a heavy favorite. It does not mean that Cam Brink or Rickea Jackson for LA. You look at Angel Reese, who had a great WNBA preseason for the Chicago Sky. Aaliyah Edwards now with the Mystics cannot have success. And I do believe all of these faces we have come to know and love from their time in women's college basketball do reach instant success in the WNBA. But it's Caitlin Clark's award to lose.
Yeah, all right. Let's get to the game tonight, the Fever and the Sun, which we did have a link in our little subscription here that Joe Frizo sent, and it was broken. But I'm a professional. I found exactly where I needed to go. That's the Fever and the Sun tonight. 6.5-point favorite for the Sun on their home court. A total of 167.5. Opening night in the WNBA with the biggest superstar coming into it. How does this plan? An underdog. Can we pull the outright upset here, Ben?
This game on national TV for Caitlin Clark's debut, probably going to set historic numbers for a WNBA regular season game to start off a season. There is going to be so much attention, but the right side is favored. The Sun, the third best team last year, again, 27-13. Both the Aces and the Liberty won 30 games. Connecticut, that third best record at 27-13. Just to make a point, Alyssa Thomas, who has the WNBA career record for triple-doubles at 9 in her career, had 5 a season ago. Caitlin Clark, who had a ton of triple-doubles during her time at Iowa, I believe 17 or 18 at career close. Again, she's going to have some lofty numbers associated, but that's the pedigree that we're talking about here. Can Caitlin Clark score 20 in her WNBA regular season debut? That's the expectation. She had 21 in her WNBA preseason debut. Look to the three-point shot. That's how she's going to start to light it up, or in the assist prop as well at 7.5 for Caitlin Clark's numbers on her debut night. But I would expect, and this is just a thought, we don't have a sample size on what Indiana's offense looks like with Caitlin Clark running things at the helm, that the Fever push the pace just a little bit like Iowa did last year in women's college basketball. If I had a bet in this game, Connecticut is the right side to be favored. I do like to see some points tonight over 167 and a hook.
It is opening night. Some other interesting games across the landscape. The Liberty at the Mystics here. That's an 11-point spread. The Mercury at the Aces. That's a 15-point spread. And the Lynx and the Storm at a -8. Any other games on the card, Ben, catching your attention here in the WNBA's opening night extravaganza?
Yeah, DRS, you mentioned the bad news for the Phoenix Mercury. Brittany Griner fracturing her toe during training camp and the WNBA preseason, set to miss some considerable time here to start the year. Part of the reason the Aces are a 15-point favorite tonight at home inside the Michelob Ultra Arena, where they were 19-1 during the regular season last year. The Aces are the rightful WNBA title favorites, looking for that third straight title. The Liberty and the Mystics, New York on the road in D.C., a hefty double-digit favorite. Expect a big night from Breanna Stewart. Excited to see what the Storm do. Again, big offseason acquisitions, now laying 8 in their opener against the Minnesota Lynx, who had a down year last year. Minnesota's won 3 WNBA championships in the last 6 years. Can they return to that form as a franchise? We shall see. Seattle, though, those big offseason acquisitions of Nneka Ogwumike and Skylar Diggins-Smith. How do they play tonight alongside Jewell Loyd, who I do want to mention her points prop tonight, the WNBA's leading scorer last year, to get Her points prop tonight, 21.5. The over has even money. That's a WNBA season preview where they look at the quadruple header tonight, DRS, for the most highly anticipated WNBA season, probably on record. It begins tonight with 4 games. A great summer in the W ahead. Stay with the early line next.